Welcome to this explainer. Let's jump right into a massive economic disparity that literally has fans and athletes alike scratching their heads. We're talking about the staggering pay gap between professional boxers and UFC fighters. If you look at the top-tier earners in combat sports, boxing routinely crowns $100 million paydays. Just look at the massive purses pulled in by guys like Floyd Mayweather or Tyson Fury. Meanwhile, top pound-for-pound MMA champions often take home just a fraction of that, sometimes really struggling to break the multi-million-dollar mark. We're going to break down exactly why this happens. Okay, let's dive into this paradox. MMA inherently requires mastering a seriously wide variety of techniques, right? You need world-class striking, Olympic-level wrestling, elite Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But boxers, who are strictly restricted to using only their hands, take home far bigger paychecks. It seems totally counterintuitive. Why on earth does doing less in the ring lead to so much more in the bank? Well, to figure this out, we've structured this explainer like a fight card. 4 main rounds. We'll trace the ecosystem and audience, analyze commodities versus platforms, examine the purist appeal, and finally, break down what we call the decathlon dilemma. Let's step into the ring for round 1, ecosystem and audience size. So boxing has had a massive historical head start in building its commercial ecosystem. Professional boxing began its modern commercial journey all the way back in the late 19th century. By the time it secured Olympic status, it had already globalized its amateur ranks, creating these talent pipelines in pretty much every country on Earth. It was literally one of the very first sports to truly dominate global TV broadcasts, and eventually, it pioneered the highly lucrative pay-per-view model we know today. The UFC, on the other hand, it only started in the 1990s and actually spent its early years banned from pay-per-view in a bunch of states due to regulatory pushback. Boxing simply has decades of normalized global commercial momentum behind it. And because of that deep historical maturity, we get what our sources call the bigger plate of revenue streams. A deeply mature market triggers massive live ticket sales, huge bidding wars among worldwide TV broadcasters, and highly lucrative global sponsorships. When national networks eagerly buy up the rights to air fights in their home countries, the overall financial pie swells dramatically. So when you pay a premium price for a pay-per-view, you're actually participating in a massive legacy financial engine. Quite simply, a deeply entrenched global audience directly funds higher payouts for the athletes involved. Before we dig into the specific business structures, I really want to highlight this quote directly from the sports forums we analyzed. All matters related to money are purely commercial operations and have nothing to do with the sports project. This is a vital lens for our explainer today. We're not taking sides here or endorsing one sport as inherently better or tougher than the other. No way. We're simply explaining that the pay gap is a direct reflection of which sport currently operates as a larger, more mature commercial entity. Moving to round 2. Commodities versus platforms. So, the crucial point here is the fundamental difference in negotiation leverage. In boxing, champions operate as independent commodities who co-promote their own events. But why is it like this? It all comes down to the Muhammad Ali Boxing Reform Act. This federal law explicitly separates boxing promoters from sanctioning bodies. It prevents closed leagues and legally protects top boxers, allowing them to act as true free agents. They can shop their talents to the highest bidder, negotiate their own broadcast deals, and take a massive cut of the revenue. The UFC, however, is a platform model, and MMA is not currently protected by the Ali Act. While fighters are technically independent contractors, they're largely locked into exclusive contracts with the promoter. This severely restricts their ability to leverage the open market. In MMA, the platform holds the ultimate power. In boxing, the legally protected star fighter holds the power. But even with the structural advantages of the Ali Act and the leverage of free agency, massive payouts only exist if fans are actually buying the product. So why are so many millions of people willing to pay a premium for the boxing model? What exactly drives that specific audience demand? That brings us to round 3, the purist appeal. Take this quote from our sources: "Playing on the ground can never match the passionate impact of punches to the flush." Whether you're a hardcore MMA fan who truly appreciates elite grappling or a boxing purist, this impartially illustrates a major dividing line in the consumer market. A massive portion of the global casual audience simply prefers the visceral, standing-up nature of boxing over the highly technical, often slower-paced ground game of MMA. Those purist arguments really boil down to one thing: simplicity. Boxing's restrictions naturally create a direct, easily digestible style of combat. Let's be honest, it is much easier for a casual fan sitting at a sports bar to instantly understand the mechanics of a knockout punch than it is for them to understand the absolute intricacies of a Brazilian jiu-jitsu rubber guard. When a sport is instantly understandable without needing a commentator to constantly explain the grappling transitions, it rapidly drives up casual viewership. And that casual viewership is exactly what exponentially inflates ticket and pay-per-view revenue. And this brilliantly illustrates another massive financial driver, the betting factor. Our sources point out that boxing betting volume is astronomically high. We're talking comparable to global football or soccer betting. UFC betting, while growing incredibly fast, still behaves more like basketball in terms of overall volume. Higher betting volumes mean a much deeper financial integration across the board. It leads to more aggressive sponsorships, heavier promotion, and just a broader public investment in the outcomes. Simply put, people are way more willing to pay to watch what they've just placed a bet on.
Okay, we are now entering our final round, the decathlon dilemma.
The core question we really have to ask here is this: does training in more techniques naturally make you commercially more valuable? We know MMA fighters have to master a staggering array of disciplines just to survive in the octagon. But does being a comprehensive master translate directly to a bigger payday? Think about Usain Bolt. He's a pure sprinter, a master specialist, exactly like a boxer. He is a household name, a total global icon, and wildly commercially successful. On the flip side, take Damian Warner, an Olympic decathlon champion. He perfectly represents our MMA fighter. Warner is arguably the most outstanding, comprehensively talented athlete in the world across multiple disciplines, yet he's relatively unknown commercially compared to a specialist like Bolt. In the commerce of sports, the highly focused specialist almost always achieves greater mainstream fame and massive fortune than the comprehensive master. Tying it all together, comprehensive skills just don't automatically equal the highest commercial value. The staggering boxing pay gap is actually the result of a perfect storm. It's the sheer historical maturity of the sport, a massive casual audience drawn to its specialized simplicity, and absolutely crucially, the legal protection of the Ali Act that guarantees free agent leverage for its top stars. The decathlon champion might be far more versatile, but the 100-meter sprinter is the one who sells out the stadium. Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought. As mixed martial arts continues to mature globally and build its own decades of history, will UFC fighters ever break the decathlon curse? Will future legal pushes for things like the Ali Act ever give them the open market leverage to finally match boxing's massive paydays? Or is the simplicity of two fists in a ring forever destined to remain the absolute king of combat sports commerce? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.